Hi, this is Dave Lawrence, designer of Bodoni Bravo. I am excited to show you what this has. This has been a big chunk of my life. It took equivalent to a year's worth of full-time work of around 2,000 hours. This font collection, I'm really proud of it. This, if you get the full set, you will get, as far as total glyphs, you will get 9,000 per each font, and multiply that by 10 different fonts, and it's about 96,000 different glyphs in this font. Now, so let me tell you, before I go into a little bit about what it does, and you can sort of see what it does back here, because you can make all these different patterns, and you can put these patterns inside patterns like I've done over here. Or you can put them around shapes or around letters, and some of my favorite ones that I made for our Instagram are over here. This M that you can see down below, later down on the page. So if you have seen the page and you're coming here, then welcome. If you haven't seen the page yet, then you need to check out everything below, and you can look at that a little bit as you listen to me talk, because this thing has everything in it, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. So this comes from Bodoni's Manuale Tipografico of 1818. Let me show you that here. See, he has the fregi, which are his ornaments, and these, so if you look, and it just keeps going and going, but this has been criticized by different font designers over time. So a long time ago, about 100 years ago in printing times, Updike said that these things were cold and they were technically good, but they didn't have any feeling, and all these different things, said those things about them. And if you just look at them, okay, there's different squares, there's different triangles, there's different things. And yes, it looks sort of simple. But when you start realizing that, wait, Bodoni's sort of a genius and he might be onto something here, is when you get to the end of this. Let me see a little bit further. See, this goes for 1,000. He has 1,026 different ornaments. Let me see if I get to that. Okay, a little bit farther. And you're going to see why he is really a genius. Because look at these corners. Let me zoom in here so you can see it a little bit better. See these corners here? Once you have these corners, then you can start seeing what his skills are really at here. Because those things, all those little dots and stuff, those were the building blocks for these ornate, complex ribbons. And so then you see that Bodoni wasn't really making just ornaments and a lot of the things that have a certain style period to it. He made these very universal. He's basically built Lego blocks. These are Lego blocks that allow you to build just about anything, because you have different styles of squares, of rectangles, circles, and all that. But what I've done in the font is I've made ornaments are never easy to make. Because just imagine Bodoni back in the 1700s with the little 5-point pieces of type and trying to move these around on the compositors area and trying to get all those little things together. Ornaments have never been easy to do, but this, I think, is going to be one of the easiest ways that you can make complex patterns. Because what I have done is each letter has a specific type of pattern on it. And not only does it have one, but it has 6 of those different types that you can access through the style set of the open type features. So let me show you the example keyboard over here. So see, so for example, let's take a look at A. Letter A, you have your diamonds and things like that. Okay, so you have 7 styles of diamonds. You have the solid one. So the primary shape is the one that's in orange on top of each of these letters. And then what you can do is you can make an entire pattern using these different things, and then you can just change it later. You can just change it to a different style. So it's never been easier before because what I did is I included all of these things in every rotation. So previously, with a lot of previous to this ornament font, you would have to try to, if you wanted to put a symbol down, and then you wanted to pull it out, and then you wanted to make it go a different direction, say diagonally or to the left instead of the right, or up or down or whatever. Then you had to do all this stuff manually and take each little symbol out, and then you had to do step and repeats if you're in InDesign or Illustrator, step and repeats, and to get all these things over. This one, you don't have to do that. This, I can essentially just copy. This pattern is made out of just these two pieces. Because I can show you here, if I delete all these out, you can see that this is one tile, and this is another different tile. Okay, so, and let me show you through the glyphs panel here, all the entire font, so you can get an idea of what is all located in this. Okay, so down here, so the squares are pretty much the same, but I include them for different orientations because we have this thing called smart corners that when you use the colon, the semicolon, the quote, and the double quote and the single quote, when you use those keys on your keyboard, which on the United States keyboards are in about the same place, then it automatically is going to build the corners for you. So later down the page, we show a little bit about what that's about, but I have hundreds and hundreds of these corner pieces that I've built, and sometimes they are the diagonal of the piece, but in other cases, when the diagonal wasn't going to work out, I made a specialized corner piece that works for all these. So you can see all the value you're getting here. See these larger symbols? If we zoom in, this panel won't zoom in anymore. I think that's as far as we go. These are plus tiles. These are bigger tiles that are made out of the smaller tiles. So you can get those, and instantly you will have breathtaking patterns like this one that I show you over here. This one is another one. Oh, I love this one. This is the K pattern. These I call runners because Bodoni used these to make patterns, and each of these has a special place that it can be used as an ornament. So here are these are inverted plus tiles. So everything I made in the regular form, and I also made it in an inverted form. That way it's really easy to make checkered patterns off of this. So you can make checkered patterns easy. You can make corners easy. You can do... Let me look here. Okay, these ones are great. You put these with a circle and it makes this bead. It sort of looks like beads of a necklace or something. And this was always a cool one. I wanted to include this because it has the eye. So I made very special, I paid special attention to, it was a little bit tricky to figure out what ornaments in Bodoni's list. This does not include all 1,026. That's because some of them are not quite the right style. And then I did things, and I normalized some of the sizes, and Bodoni had all different types of sizes that wouldn't really fit together, and things weren't organized like that. So I organized all these things so they fit on a line. So everything fits together. I have pieces that are 1x1s, 2x2s, 1x2s, 2x1s, 3x3s, 4x4s, 5x5s. Okay, so that makes it so that things are actually going to match up. And I do have some that are half pieces and 1.5 pieces. And I include, these things, I love these things. Okay, see, these are squiggles that are not part of Bodoni's original plan, but I made them as corner pieces. And then I figured out, actually, if I make them fit together really tight and really precisely, which I've done with everything, then you can make these sort of, let me get to the right place here. You can make these squiggly line things. Let me show you if I can find it here. You can make these really ornate squiggly patterns that go right here. Let me zoom in. And I'm going to take the grid off so you can see this a little bit better. Look at this thing. And I have showing this. I have showing it later down on the page. you can take those patterns that I just showed you, and you can make any. You can combine in all these ways and just make all these perfectly fitting squiggly lines that go into some of Bodoni's ornaments. So these loops here, and then these other sort of leaf-looking things. Let me show you. Let me go back down there on this screen. See? And then there's all sorts of plants. There's plants that look like they have headdresses on, like crowns, sort of like this one. Mohawk-looking plants. A couple different bugs. And then beads. There's all these bead things and squiggly lines that all fit together. And besides including those, is I didn't want a person to have to, say if you wanted a line next to the ornament and then you wanted to make something, I didn't want it to be that you had to draw a line and then with the program and then to make it all complicated and then it didn't fit right and all that stuff. So what I did is I included all those with the thing. So I have hundreds and hundreds of different rules, double rules, triple rules, single rules of all different types, and those things fit with some of the other ornaments. They all fit together because this is a big system that took me a work year worth of work to get all this stuff done. So let me show you some more stuff in here about what okay, so this is a lot of stuff, and you might be go, whoa, and yes, this is something that you should only, if you are an expert, if you really want to make great patterns, and then you should get it. But if you're looking for something that's easy to use, this is not your guy. This one takes a little bit of learning, but I've included some great resources. So I have this keyboard reference. This shows you where you can find everything. So you print this out and then put it next to your desk, and then it's going to show you how to make everything. Now, how to make these special patterns, there is a method actually to how Bodoni makes these. And I've discovered by looking at these things over and over, I've discovered what some of those patterns are. And I've also included, and see, I've called this whole thing the ornament catalog. I've called this the ornament catalog because this single font has so much that it fills an entire catalog. I don't know, I didn't put page numbers on this because I keep track by the actual numbers of the pieces, but it's something in the realm of 300 pages worth of fonts that you're going to get when you buy this now. Look, I have a chart here. Okay, so here, how to read the catalog. This shows you what each thing means of when. It shows you when things top left, top right, bottom left, and all that stuff. Some things are facing outward. Some things are facing inward. Some things, the main piece is facing up. Some are facing to the right. So this gives you an idea of how all those different pieces work together. Here is, I give you the information of what all the style sets are over here and the piece dimensions. And in InDesign or Adobe programs is all it is just turning on this thing, and then you're going to get a different style. And so I show you which style you need to get each piece in there if you want to look through the catalog instead of browsing the glyphs menu, which is a good way to do because you can access it. When you access it through here, things can work well because you can do this thing. I want to show you what you can do with this. Watch this. If I go into pieces that I've used by typing the letters, so if you use a glyph panel, this doesn't quite work the same. But if I've typed in the letters here, so here I've used L's, H's, and V's for getting the triangle, the triangle sort of shapes, and this is a hyphen to get the lines, the triple and single rules. See, all I have to do if I want this changed, see, this is a mixture of a bunch of different styles. If I want this to change, then I can change this to a special one of the styles. If I want it to be more delicate, then I choose a delicate style, and all of a sudden I have more delicate things over here. Or if I want to change this to dottier and curlier, This one doesn't really have the dots in it because these are not the type of symbols that have the dots. But then it gives me other types of things. And so that works. And I show you later down the page just how you can change really complex things using these styles. So I had an option of putting this as separate fonts, but I decided to put all 7. So it's basically 7 fonts worth. I mean, each of those fonts, if it was by itself, it would be 1,100, well, about 1,100 symbols just by itself, but I stuck them all together in one font. This, if to my knowledge, this is one of the first ornament fonts that has weights. So Bodoni was really genius because when you use simple patterns like this, simple ornaments like this, you can get more patterns than there are atoms in the universe. Now, when I was thinking about, because I was trying to figure out, I thought, well, it'd be really cool to know how many patterns this font could make. And so I was just going, and then when I had 100, I figured out, oh, whoa, it can make a lot of different things. And then I figured out, well, actually, if I get all these fonts to a certain number, I can make it have more patterns than actual atoms in the universe. And that's not even taking into account the inverse patterns, the ones that are the dark versions of the light things. So that's where this font is the ultimate power and then each shape, so even though these are triangle things here, I didn't make them, they're not computer generated triangles. They are very intricately drawn by using what I call sfumato technique. And sfumato technique is a technique that Da Vinci used on the Mona Lisa, where he sort of softened things up, that when you look really close on the Mona Lisa, you can't really tell what is going on because the strokes are so soft like that. So that's what I wanted to get with this font. I wanted to get this font looking really like that. So that's how I got these things in here. And I can change this. This is the semi-bold, but if I want to change it to the thin, then we get really crisp patterns that can be seen at display sizes. If you go all the way to the other end, to the black, then now you have, this is great all the way up. Bodoni had sizes all the way down to 5 and underneath 5 points. And that's what some of the black designs are based on, the very, very small, tiny ones that we first saw when we were looking through the Manuale Tipografico of 1818 of Bodoni at the beginning of this video. Okay. So let me explain the catalog. So I have an ornament size chart, and I give you an approximate idea of this is the original Bodoni size. A lot of these fonts, a lot of these symbols were at 6 points. Now, I tried to match the original of size that Bodoni had. That was not always possible because he had some things that were 13 symbols to a line, or 29, and these different prime numbers of 31 and stuff like that. So I did normalize that. And this reference chart shows you just how I did that. Now, it's on the side here, and I don't know if I can... Let me think about this. Okay, wait. I can get this to switch. Let me just bear with me a moment, and I'm going to get this to a single page, and I'm going to show you what this chart looks like. Okay, that's better. Okay, so this chart is included inside the ornament catalog, which shows you all of the stuff that you get. And it shows you when something is 0.5 units, and it shows you when things are going to line up, because that's going to help you to plan out your layouts when you have all that stuff. So I give you some example. Here are some 5-unit patterns, which is when I put let me see here, a 1 unit plus 2 2-unit patterns together. Here's a 5.5, because this one is I believe this is a 3.5 or a 2.5. Okay, plus a 3, and then we get these patterns. So I had to do some things to get the half units to keep the shapes similar to what Bodoni had. And then, of course, you can always use the Pathfinder tool if this doesn't quite match up. And I've done this in the past. You use the Pathfinder tool in whatever your design program is, and then you can cut off the edges. But most of the things are going to line up because I have a lot of 1-unit patterns, 2-unit, and 3-unit. Those are the primary 1 and 2-unit patterns are the primary ones. And then I have a smattering of, say, only a couple of the 3.5s and stuff like that. And this catalog shows you just exactly how everything is. So Bodoni has his ornaments in special rolls here. So I want to show you, here's the basic 1x1s. He has all these basic shapes. Now these are great. You can make zigzag patterns with these things. You can make checker patterns with these things. And you can make with the X tiles in addition to the slash tiles, which I don't know if they made this list, but they're on the other list. Oh yeah, here's the slash tiles underneath the X tiles, of course. So those things can make what is called diapers, and I don't know why it has that name, because maybe the diapers that are used on babies, maybe those had the same patterns on them as the diaper ornaments. But basically, those are those very classic X type of patterns. Let me see if I have one of those in here to show you what I'm talking about. I may not have put one. Oh yeah, see, here's how you can insert some of, this is a plus tiles inside border tiles. Okay, let me see if I can find one here. And if not, that's okay, because we can go, there's plenty to show. There's plenty to show. I could talk with you about this for hours. There's so much to show. And in fact, I'm hoping to be making a video. I'm going to show you an ornament video to show you just how some of this works. And I don't know if oh, wait, see, here's a checker pattern right here. And see, this one I can go in and then just click, boom, and he's different. And now he's a different thing. You go in there, you change some of the colors, and then you're golden and you're ready to try out other stuff. Okay, so there's not quite of those patterns, but you can sort of get the idea of, I don't quite have one in here. But you can get the idea with some of these checkered patterns. See, even just using one pattern, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do with that. So this is easy to start, and then there's a really high ceiling that if you want to get expert with making some of the really ornate things that I have on here, let me show you some of those things. So I have my web page up. So this is what's further down the page from my mock-up. See? Look at these corners, okay? So there's a whole system to this, which I'm going to show in another video. I can tell you a little bit about it now. It's in one place you put you go from inner to outer, and there's a certain order that things go. You have the main patterns, which can have these things that I call connectors, and those are connected usually to an OP or Q piece, and those are these flowers and circles and sunbursts and just, pretty stuff like that. And that goes on the inside. Then sometimes it also goes on the inside is a hash pattern, which is used with the L. And I made it an L because the corner pieces sort of look like an L. If you see that there, they sort of look like an L. Triangles sometimes also go on the inside, and sometimes they're facing towards this, and there's a little bit different from here. You get squiggles a little bit outside of that. Outside of that, you have rules. Outside of that, you have these things that I call arches, because it's like the Roman arches where they would come from victory and walk through the arches. It has those things in there. So I don't know if it was Bodoni's classical mind thinking about those things as he made these up, but there's some different types of arches. And between the arches, you can put these small poles. And on top of those, you can put taller poles and plants. Usually go out here, and then outside that, so that's if you want to make a classical Bodoni style border. There's actually a method that you can make great things that look like that every time. And here is another example of something like that. Here I put some on the outside instead. I did it a little bit differently this time. I put curls like that. So each of these, and what I've done is I've organized each key by each of these things that has a different purpose. So these are the symbols and connectors, and those connect things through, and they can be used for your inside patterns. And then plants, certain types can be used for your inside patterns, and certain types for your outside patterns when you're making a border. And now runners, squiggles, and lines, these are the things that sort of enclose your other symbols to make it feel like it's a one ribbon. If we look at that Bodoni, you'll see how he sort of does that. See, he puts it in there so that he has the rules on the outside, so this feels like it's one ribbon, and then he has these arcs. I call these ones arcs, while the other ones are arches, because you think of the Romans go through the arches when they come back from victory, and the arcs are the half of the circle sort of pieces, or a segment of the circle. Okay? So I didn't even get to make everything. I wanted to make a second font that went with this font that had some of the more complex ornaments in it. But still we have a lot of stuff here. So arcs, curls, and fronds. You have arcs, offset arcs, small curls, large fronds, and all these things can be used. Now, there are some pieces like these fronds. See, look at this piece that is not symmetrical. When this is not symmetrical, not only did I rotate and make all rotation, so this is pointing up, to the right, down, and to the left, and all that, I also made the flipped version. So this guy has actually 16 pieces for him, along with all those 16 pieces in the black color, so that you can just choose anything you want perfectly. Oh, I love Z patterns. I called it Z for zebra since this one sort of reminded me of a zebra thing. Those things are some of my favorite. You have zigzags on there. You have, let me try to get, I keep going to that thing, but I want to go over here so I can show you what this catalog looks like. So as you go through, this shows you the one things, and this shows you the GID. And what that allows you to do is when you go over to your main program, then if I'm going to find a, it says 0574, okay? So say if I want to find a 0574, I go over here, and let me go back to my squares where we're looking inside a font. I go 0574, okay? And there is the piece. .574/. So that is the piece. So this thing, you find it in here, and then you can find anything you want. But sometimes when I'm making it, usually I'm just going through and I'm sort of going, okay, which ones do I want? And I sort of know the keys of what R and all those different things make. So there is a learning curve, but the reward is great, because the reason why this font is going to last really well is because it's not just the Victorian style ornaments from a particular time period. This thing, because Bodoni was a genius, he knew that if he made small pieces, he could make things of the utmost intricacy that as we've seen over here, he could make all these complex things, but he didn't need to, he could really vary his style. So that's what makes this set great, because you have simpler things that allow so much more variety and combinations and patterns. Here's some of the different types of plants. So this is the E key. So it shows you what key in the manual. It shows you what key that you can do it there. Now, plant runners. So that is about it. That is about it. I've showed you. I'm going to have another video where I do the making of how I made the choices, because it wasn't, I didn't just go into Bodoni's book and then just start. I had to really think about how all this stuff was going to fit together and making everything work as best as possible. So that's what you get when you get this font. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please purchase that below. This one was really a passion project for me. If you really like this font, then I would love to get you make some of Fournier's stuff and all that. So, but I need your help so that I can show the marketing team that this font is something that is going to sell, that I should keep on making these sorts of fonts and keep on doing this. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Please take a look at the rest of that page. Hit that purchase button. Get this font for your collection. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.